Marvel Comics, the House of Ideas, the most powerful name in the comic book publishing world. So there was a time that Marvel seemed to be able to do no wrong. They would put out just hit after hit after hit. They had the top-selling comic book of all time, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. But over the years, Marvel's kind of taken itself and transformed itself from this juggernaut of comic book creativity that gave us the MCU to just the garbage island of pop culture, where they just kind of throw junk in people's faces, and each idea seems to be more poorly conceived than the one that came before it, which kind of started leading me to ask the question, at this point, is Marvel just purposely trolling its fans? I mean, it seems like an odd thing to do, but I really can't put my finger on what else their mission statement could be at this point. And to demonstrate my point, we're going to look at a couple of different books, and we're going to start with the Spider-Verse. So the Spider-Verse came out a number of years ago and is actually a pretty cool and creative idea, which is saying a lot for something that Dan Slott had created. But the idea was the entire multiverse is connected by a weird kind of spider web, and each strand of that web is a different reality. And in those realities, just through natural causality, a spider would always tend to emerge. And those spiders would be different based on the circumstances and who got imbued with the powers and how they got their powers. And it was really interesting and asked questions like, what if Gwen Stacy had been bitten by the spider instead of Peter Parker? What if Spider-Man had developed in another country, or maybe came from a world that made him less moral or less good? These questions were interesting. They gave us a lot of really good characters like Ghost Spider and Spider-Punk. And it was popular enough to even spawn arguably one of the best Marvel movies ever made with Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, it really seemed like a awesome just force of creativity. But now, fast forward to 2022, we're at Edge of Spider-Verse, where Marvel is going to end the concept of the Spider-Verse once and for all, and they're going to ask such diverse questions as, what if Spider-Man was gay? What if Spider-Man was gay, British, and Muslim? What if Spider-Man was gay and crippled and shot webs out of her crutches, and the laws of gravity and the centrifugal force of web swinging around a city had no force on a person who has no muscle control or ability to lock up their legs or spine below the chest, and things don't just shatter and flop around? I mean, for God's sake, they even made Spider-Man a Disney princess in this story, with the Green Goblin as some kind of weird Maleficent creature. I mean, who are they making these comic books for? Who's buying this? I mean, this is terrible. If you look at the heights of where the Spider-Verse started to the lows it currently exists in, what can you possibly think other than they're trying to generate clicks, they're trying to get rage up online to try to get a few bits of, or a few moments of attention for their brand? I mean, it's not just the Spider Corner that seems to have problems. Let's venture back into the drudge that is the world of the X books and look at Exterminators #1 that just came out this week. So I'm going to do my best to try to do a plot synopsis and review of this fever dream of a comic book. So bear with me. So this comic book starts off with Dazzler. And Dazzler is just breaking up with her boyfriend and throwing all of his stuff out of their apartment because he cheated on her. And there he is, standing there in the alley in broad daylight. Keep that in mind. It'll be important later. So after the breakup, she needs some important girl time. So she calls Jubilee, and Jubilee gets Cannonball involved. And the three of them are going to go out and exchange probably some of the most cringe dialogue I've ever seen written into a comic book while they dance the night away and drink. But lo and behold, they start getting a little more lightheaded than they figure they should, and it turns out that Dazzler's ex-boyfriend is there, and he spiked their drinks because he's a vampire, although he was standing in broad daylight at the beginning of the comic book. So they pass out in the nightclub, and they wake up, each one of them in a horrible, horrible situation where they're being attacked by what seem to be classic movie monsters. But one by one, they get rescued by Jubilee, who's been for some reason given a monster truck, and they find Dazzler fighting an army of ghouls in a maze. And then a scene happened that I had to read 3 times to understand what had gone on. So Jubilee crashes into the maze, having already rescued Boom Boom, and they're in the monster truck, and they pick up Dazzler, and she crashes into a wall in the maze, and Boom Boom, who's not wearing her seatbelt, crashes through the windshield, splatters herself against a concrete wall of the maze, and then just kind of gets up and dusts herself off like she's freaking Wolverine or something. So I don't understand. I mean, was this supposed to demonstrate that people can't die in this world? Because nobody really comments on it. They're just kind of like, oh, boom, boom, you should have wore your seatbelt, I guess. So I really don't understand what's happening here. And then for some reason, X-23 is there, even though she wasn't with them that night. And I don't know how the vampire would have gotten access to her, or how he would have drugged her when those types of chemicals don't work on her. So that's it. That's the plot of Exterminators #1. And yeah, they might answer a few of these questions in the next issue if you really cared to learn the answers, but I don't. I really had to read this book twice just to see if I was fully understanding what I had just read. I mean, this plot is nonsense. Leah Williams is the writer of this, who, to my knowledge, has written one good comic series followed by a series of flops. And her dialogue is just atrocious. I mean, human beings don't talk the way that the characters in Leah Williams' book talks, and nobody in this book is kind of acting as you would expect these characters to. It's more along the lines of Leah Williams kind of maybe took a weird night out with her friends and jotted down some random things they said when they were really drunk and high and put them into a comic book, and then just kind of threw in a vampire. It's weird, and it's, again, who is this book for? This isn't an X-Men story that I've ever known one. I mean, it's just random, and it's nonsense, and it's horribly written. It's terribly paced. The story doesn't make any sense. Characters have powers that they shouldn't have, and they don't care about seeing one of their friends get absolutely mangled. It's just weird. It's bizarre, and it's like something that shouldn't even exist but does. You know, this story almost would have made a little bit of sense. I kept expecting a Mojo reveal, and maybe that's what they're building to, but this is a poor build-up for Mojo at this point, if they're not going, because Mojo usually just comes right out of the gate, and it would make sense for him to want to get a little bit of payback on Dazzler, having been working as a kind of a weird rebel soldier in the Mojo world for a number of years. So yeah, there's sense to be made there, but I don't know. I mean, at this point, I really don't care a whole bunch, but it did get me thinking as I was making this video. Wouldn't it be hilarious if they end the Krakoan era of the X-Men with having it turn out that Mojo just abducted all the mutants, brainwiped them, and put them on an island with all the weird random hookups and who's gay and who isn't in the Marvel Universe anymore, and Mojo just wanted to create a bizarre Bachelor in Paradise style reality show? I tell you, Marvel, if you end the Krakoan era of the X-Men like this, all sins are forgiven. All of them. But bottom line is, Marvel just isn't the creative force that it used to be, and it seems that they kind of just exist to antagonize their existing fan base. So we already talked about this in a previous video, that we know that Disney's new marketing strategy tends to be put out something controversial that they know will rile up a certain segment of fans, get a bunch of argument and controversy started online, and exacerbate the controversy by then going online, calling everybody who disagreed with their creative choices racist, and decreeing that all of their stars are being attacked by racist, toxic fandom, and generate a weird kind of groundswell of attention in this way. It's a terrible, terrible marketing strategy. It's horribly divisive, but it's what Marvel, or what Disney and Marvel, seem to be pretty much best at this point. It's like the only card they play ever. Every time I see a new Marvel or a new Disney project or new Star Wars project announced, it's only a matter of time before a trailer comes out, and then Marvel seems to already have a pre-recorded, fabricated racial narrative that they're going to paint, and they're going to go decree everyone who disagreed or didn't like whatever product is a racist or a bigot or a toxic fan, and that's it. It's weird. Like when the Obi-Wan series came out, and everybody complained about the trailer because it just looked bad, but Marvel already had, or Disney Star Wars already had, this entire marketing strategy put together where they have the stars of the shows condemning racist fans, and they had all these emails that seemed to come out of nowhere of racist, horrible things being said about the lead villain in the series. It was weird how they had all of this so fast. I mean, it takes a little bit for the Rolling Stone to gather moss that is the internet's comment section. So the fact they were able to have so much material and already have the cast on tape condemning it and releasing videos, it just seemed very contrived to me. And it seems like this is Marvel's strategy at this point. Make everything controversial, make everything clickbait, start arguments online, highlight the worst comments of them, and then call all of their critics bigots. That's it. That's their marketing strategy. And as fans, it's time to start falling for it and deprive them of the one thing that they actually care about, which is money. So when you see these things, when you see Marvel announce their latest cockamamie project, don't engage. As angry as you may be at whatever direction they're taking, whatever title, just let it go. Let their bots and the sycophant fans that are going to praise it just to praise it while they spend no money, not a single red cent on buying their product, just let them have it. Let them go at it. Let them have the day. And in the end, we're going to withhold our money. We're going to withhold our fandom and deprive them of the one thing they actually care about, which is capital. So that's the only way to get past this terrible and divisive and troll-infested era of Marvel Comics. And the same thing will work for Disney, same thing will work for Star Wars, and even DC to an extent. So that's it. That's all I've got to say. So what do you think? What do you think of my idea that Marvel is really just out there purposely trying to stir up its own fan base into just a weird, rabid frenzy of anger and rage so that they can mine the negative comments on their social media for a little bit of cheap publicity and attention? That's really what I think is going on here, but I want to know what you think. So let's talk about it in the comment section below. While you're down there, do all the usual stuff. Hit like, subscribe. Please hit like to this video. It really helps the algorithm and it helps the channel get in front of more people, helps us grow. I really appreciate all the subs that I already have, but if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe to this channel for more just kind of rants and news, and we talk about comics, movies, video games, all the stuff. So yeah, I'd love to have you here, and I'm just going to leave it right there. So I will talk to you on the next video. Bye.